Let's talk to the Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Yaya Duchumu, who's joined me here. Chief, good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, my brother.
Grateful. You are an alumnus of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
Yes, a very proud one.
A very proud one. The impasse there, the ministry has stepped in to have some negotiation. Where are we now in solving the problem?
First of all, let me say very good morning to your good day. New day. New day, listeners. Indeed, it's a new day.
It is.
And the Minister for Education led a team, including the Minister designate for information to Kwame Nkrumah,
right.
University of Science and Technology. Actually, they met various stakeholders at the regional administration to apprise themselves of what has been going on and what can be done to bring life back to normalcy.
Right.
And that is what my minister has been working on. Very soon, within the next few days, he will be able to come out with a statement as to what steps the government is taking to ensure that this institution retains its academic laurels and all the accolades, and without a dent on its image by interruption of academic work for a long period of time, which actually gives you a very bad name around the world when you're talking about the reputation of the institution. So the minister is working around the clock.
Are there some initial findings that you'd want to share?
No initial findings. They of course, spoke with the VC, spoke with students and everyone. I reserve the findings to come directly from the minister in the next few days.
Okay. Now, the issues surrounding the KNUST, and I want to put this to you. The students have been saying that, look, the school at some point was being run like a secondary school. They had a closing time, shut the hostels and the house of residence. Males should not be seen in the female room as of some point. In fact, this morning I read out a notice that said following students have been seen there, they've been punished, and all of the boy caned. How does that come to you as Deputy Minister for Education?
I mean, before a Deputy Minister, once upon a time I was a student leader and at KNUST, and as a result, you know where my sympathies lie. But beyond that, though, what I want to say is that students should also understand that if you are angry at your Vice-Chancellor and you are calling for him to be removed, you don't destroy the very properties and things that will make your life easier at the university after the Vice-Chancellor leaves. So you say, remove him. But you are destroying your property, so that will get a message to remove him. I think that's unacceptable, and it should be condemned in no uncertain terms, that you don't go on rampage and destroy the limited facilities that we have at our universities because you are angry at your VC. So at the end of the day, when the VC is removed, would the properties come back? No.
They say they have not been heard.
No, you've not been heard. You see, let me tell you. Probably they don't know the power that they have. When they boycott lectures and massed up on the street, the sheer numbers that we saw was a wake-up call for anybody to say, let us hear them. You don't have to go on rampage and destroy your property before you are heard. The fact that a great institution like KNUST, with a massive number of students they have there, say we are not going to lectures, we are not happy with what our universities are doing, was enough for everybody to wake up. You don't have to destroy your property before you hear you know. I think that's unacceptable.
Could government have called the Vice-Chancellor to order earlier?
I mean, when you say call to order, you are saying call to order because he's doing something wrong, right?
That's what the students are saying.
Of course,
there's
two sides to every story. And as I told you initially, my sympathies go with, because I've been a student leader before. We've done demonstrations, many demonstrations against the government, against the university, 1986 to 90, big looters. So I have sympathies. However, I don't condone destruction of school property under no circumstance. Because at the end of the day, the issue that you are talking about may be resolved. But after it is resolved, you have destroyed your property. You're setting the university back many years. So what I'm saying is this. I can understand. Because I've been there before. The last thing you want is for adults in an institution not to treat you as a co-equal in terms of dialogue and communication. It makes you feel so less of yourself. And no young person growing up in this country should be treated in a way that makes him feel like he's not wise enough and not capable enough. Otherwise, we're not going to leave this country into the hands of another good generation. We need to treat them as people who have something to say, who should be heard, and who should be listened to. You see, there's a difference between hearing and listening.
Listening, right.
You know, you may hear me all right, but you probably have not...
If you are not listening to make a decision,
you are not absorbing what I'm saying. Maybe you are hearing, I'm not saying, as a media person, you have listening skills. But for the most part in this country, you are lucky that we hear you. But to listen to you,
that's a part of the
problem.
So Professor Kaufman has been speaking. She's been in charge of our National Science and Maths quiz. She says, well, recently our top prize winners from the National Science and Maths quiz went to Portugal to participate in an international science competition. They knew all the theories, but when it came to the practicality, they didn't know. You are on record to have said that we don't have an educational system. At least that's what the Ghana Web quotes. How do we juxtapose the two and say that, look, are we really feeding our students what they need to be fed? If they can explain all the theories of Ohm's law and what John Newton says and everything, and they don't have the practical skills.
I think to take your word in terms of feeding, that's what we want to stop.
Okay.
We want to help
Isaac Newton, I beg your pardon.
No, of course, he said that.
Right.
Yeah, that was many centuries ago.
Many.
In the 21st century, you have to help the student to discover.
Okay.
They will retain the knowledge for a long time. And if you look at something like teaching of mathematics, you have to start with the concrete, where they look at certain figures and begin to have a sense. This is sphere, this is circle, this is this. They touch and they feel. They walk along the circle and walk the diameter and walk the radius. So those students who are kinesthetic learners begin to understand how the whole concept is about.
Right.
Then you move on to pictorial representation, where they begin to draw and see how the whole thing is like. Then from there you go to abstract.
Okay.
That is when, so you start with the concrete to abstract. In our type of education system, we mostly begin from the abstract.
Okay.
Thinking that once they get the abstract, they can understand the concrete. Okay. But if you look at the Singaporean model of teaching of mathematics, you begin with the concrete. They can touch it, they can feel it. Okay. So the actual way of getting students to understand is when you begin with the practicals, so that they understand the concept fully. They can touch it, they can feel it. Then the abstraction then follows.
Are you saying that our educational system is doing, instead of doing from the known to unknown, they are doing from the unknown to the known?
And that is exactly what the professor was saying.
Okay.
That they couldn't link it with the reality, right?
Okay.
So he was just saying they knew the unknown, but they couldn't do the known. But it should be the other way around.
These are people who have passed their exams, scored all the A's perhaps. Professor Gedege says, look, let's abolish exams. Let's do continuous assessment. Is that something you want to agree with?
No, we are not Finland yet.
Okay.
We are not Finland yet. And I'll tell you why we are not Finland yet. When you talk about education system that functions very well, you have an accreditation system.
Okay.
Here we talk about want to do school inspections that we are now working on doing as well.
Is it working?
No, we are now working on it. Okay. Seriously.
But previously it didn't work?
No. High schools were literally not inspected. Now we have an agreement with Air Trust through DFID. They are giving us funding. Okay. They are training NIB inspectors. We are putting a system in place that schools can be inspected. And in fact, what we are even doing is look at a hybrid between inspection and accreditation.
Okay.
You see, when you do accreditation, there's something called a self-study. The school sits down, have committees on instruction, on assessment, on curriculum, on community outreach. Parents will be represented in the committees, and they study the school. They look at their data. They check and see, are we doing well or not doing well? Okay. What is our teaching philosophy? What is the way we are teaching the students in the classroom? Right. We want students to sit together in cooperative learning groups, or do we want the teacher to just stand and deliver, that the only sage on stage, which is direct instruction. Direct instruction can be effective, but if it lends itself to rote memorization, that tell me exactly what I told you and you are the best student in the class, that is not 21st century.
It's chew, pour, pass and forget.
No, it's chew, pour, fail and forget, because most cases we don't even pass. So we don't glorify it, because majority of the students who chew and pour don't pass.
If we have these problems, Doc, why then would we want to do a wholesale free SHS kind of
you
thing.
See,
You have said that we don't have an educational system.
No,
Prof said that we don't have the practicality at hand. You are now attesting to the fact that inspection, the supervision was not the best.
We are doing it.
Yes, you're doing it now, but so, it was not the best.
Yeah, it's not the best, but we are doing it, and you don't leave anybody out when you are doing it.
Okay.
You see, the issue is this. If I sat here and told you I have no idea, for example, when you pose these questions to me and I leave here, you feel like, this guy have no clue what is going on in 21st century. Then you can bemoan the father, why are they doing all this?
Right.
When they are not doing all that and they don't even know. At this Ministry of Education, we see clearly where we are heading, and we want to see a comprehensive review of our education.
Okay.
To make sure it's not a patchwork of arrangement, but it's a system that can stand the test of the world, of times. Because you see, if you look at how Ghana went to the PISA, the international assessment, and we stopped because we were last but one. Last but one.
That's not good.
Yeah, we stopped. No, if you are last but one, you stay there. You change your system so that you can move up. Look at what is happening in Vietnam. There's a major education revolution in a poor country like Vietnam. They are topping the charts on PISA. They are challenging the world on PISA. So Ghana is going back to PISA, and we are benchmarking it against things like setting up a national assessment. You know, in this country, the first time we know whether students are doing well or not, is at the BEC.
Right.
And even the BEC is not a criterion reference test, it's a norm reference. You can't even compare from year to year because the students are being compared to each other. And we are saying that 90% this, 20% this, that.
That's wrong. That's
of course. So we are now looking at how we can get criterion reference data, which you can compare from year to year. So all that I'm saying is that if you look at what we have now, those who are from homes like mine have been doing very well. They've been doing very well because they get to go to private schools at the basic level. They get some good prep and practice. They do on the BEC. They go to our top performing schools. 95% of them end up in our top 55 schools, and the top 55 schools are designed for them. They do very well. The whole world hears about them, and we pay glowing tribute to the fact that our schools are doing so well. Then the poor, who went to the public school, was not prepared well, end up on in our category B and C schools, perform poorly, and they are blamed for it. Say, you didn't do well in the junior high school, that's why I didn't do well in high school. Who taught them in junior high school?
There's been a concern, and by the way, PISA is a system of assessment, for foreign schools. But then one critical question that's come up, the reintroduction of technical drawing, technical skills. People are asking for us to bring it back. Is that a consideration the ministry wants to make?
Junior high schools do technical drawing.
Technical skills.
Skills.
Yes, because as a student, we used to have farms.
No, you see, the thing is this. The 21st century education environment is a very tricky one.
Okay.
Many years ago, they would say that everybody should do technical, right? Then we have come to 21st century where technical is not necessarily the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
Besides the equipment and the things, you need your best and talented students to do well in technical.
Okay.
So when people talk about technical in this country, for the most part, they are saying, secondary school is not for everyone. Those who are not doing well, let's send them to no. Because when you look at the mechatronics and all the things that they do now, the technical, the diagnostic machines that you have to use before you can fix cars, now that what we used to call fitting shops, it's not for the faint of heart.
Right. Doc, I thank you very much for your time. We could have had some more time, but this is where time will allow us. I'm grateful.
No
Honorable Dr. Yao Duchum is the Deputy Minister for Education. This is speaking to us about the myriad of issues here on education from KNUST through to the JHS.